archived on. Yeah, okay. Please keep your camera and microphone muted during the presentations. Unmute when you are ready to ask a question. If you are unable to unmute, feel free to submit your question via private chat, and we will share the question on your behalf. Please use your hand-raising function during moderated Q&A. Now, let me introduce our speaker, Dr. Iklim Goksel. She's an independent scholar and an ethnographer in Anchorage, Alaska. She has a PhD in language, literacy, and rhetoric from the University of Illinois at Chicago. Her scholarship integrates rhetorical studies with ethnography, gender, and Turkish studies. She wrote a monthly column entitled Pulse a la Turca for Anthropology News, American Anthropological Society's member magazine, which addresses issues related to gender and sexuality in the Middle East and the North Africa regions. She is currently working on a book manuscript on Turkish rhetorics and the ways in which Turkish rhetoric flourished and became an important aspect of Turkish intellectual and political life from the pre-Islamic to the Republican era. Her recent publication titles include Understanding Turkish Rhetoric in the Intertextuality of Two Seminal Texts, the Orhon inscriptions, and ATATURK'S Nutuk, and Rhetorics of Grief and Happiness in Turkic Ceremony in Routledge Handbook of Comparative World Rhetorics, edited by Case Lloyd, published in 2020. She presented a paper titled Apology, Ambiguity, and Satire in 16th Century Turkish Shadow Plays at the American Society for the History of Rhetoric Symposium in Denver, Colorado in the spring of 2024. In her spare time, she practices and teaches Tai Chi. Dr. Iklim Goksel will offer a brief presentation of her work on rhetorical resilience through Atatürk's great speech. Now, let's give a warm welcome to Dr. Goksel. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for the nice presentation, Dong Hong. And thank you for having me here. I'm really happy to be here to share my work with you. So I've been, my work is based on the Turkish context. And I have been working on the Turkish rhetorical tradition for some time. And I have also been collaborating with Elif Güler, and we have worked on projects together, and we have organized workshops and journal articles and conference presentations on the Turkish rhetorical tradition. And one of our journal articles, the one that Dong Hong just mentioned, Understanding Turkish Rhetoric in the Intertextuality of Two Seminal Texts, Orhon Inscriptions and Atatürk'S Nutuk. When we collaborated on that together, we looked at two texts, and one of them was Atatürk's great speech, which is Nutuk in Turkish. And then we also looked at the Orhon inscriptions, which are inscriptions that were carved on stones. These are Turkic runic scripts in Mongolia from the 8th century. And so we looked at these two texts, and we wrote about some of the characteristics that these texts shared. And One of them was the importance of plain and truthful language in Turkish rhetorical tradition. And the Turkish word for it is öz, and it literally means plain and truthful language. And so it means saying the most important things about a subject matter in the fewest words possible. And so it's the in maintaining this type of language, it is the speaker's responsibility to make sure that, you know, this truthful language and plain language is at work. And so at the core of the rhetorical process then lies this responsibility, the speaker's, the rhetor's responsibility to maintain this kind of language. And at the end, the goal is to maintain a dignified existence and to maintain independence. So it would be very useful actually to also to read this journal article, and especially in the context of today's presentation, because a lot of the rhetorical characteristics that I will be talking about, we have also written extensively in that article, in that journal article. And so as Dong Hong also mentioned, part of this talk is also based on my previous conference presentation in Copenhagen, Denmark. I also talked about the great speech there back in July of 2025, and at the International Society for the History of Rhetoric conference. So part of today's talk is also based on my presentation in Denmark. So as we talk about the great speech today, I would ask us to consider some questions, and maybe at the end of the talk today we can address these questions or just explore them together. But some of the questions that I had on my mind was what resources the great speech may offer us with, and what new discourse models does it give us, or does it allow us to think about new ways of practicing rhetoric, and does it give us new ideas about authorial power, especially in the 21st century? Does it help us with any of these issues? So these are some of the questions I'm working on. So if at the end, maybe we could also look at, you know, explore these questions together. So in the Turkish context, the study of language is less methodical, and so we don't see a systematic study of language to you know, identify what is rhetoric. But when we start to look into the texts, then the texts offer us insight about the practice of rhetoric. And so one of these texts is the great speech by Atatürk, the founder and the first president of the Turkish Republic. The Turkish rhetorical tradition during the Republican period, and so we're really looking at the early Republican period, highly values the idea of a national language. And so this is from the foundation of the Turkish Republic in 1923 to the end of Turkey's single party period in 1946. So this is like between 1923 through 1946. And so we have a context that highly values the idea of a national language. In this period, the national language is directly linked to national values, emphasizing the idea that language should be used beautifully because it carries ideals of national culture and national identity. And this is again a time when just following the collapse of the Ottoman Empire, which lasted for 700 years, and following the collapse of the Ottoman Empire, then War of Independence, which lasted for 4 years. So it is during this time that language becomes closely associated with the national culture because it's a transitional period from the empire into the nation state. And writing is regarded as a form of art during this period, and it encourages the use of rhetorical tropes such as metaphors and similes, and works of literature are sources of inspiration. There's still the influence of Arab Persian rhetorical tradition, which is the Belagat tradition. It extends to the Republican period from the Ottoman Empire because the Ottoman Empire was under the influence of the Arab Persian traditions. So that continues, it extends to the Republican period. But the new republic starts to invent new rhetorical models because it's trying to build its national identity. And so what we see in this new period are new rhetorical and alternative discourse choices and ways of speaking and creating opportunities, spaces for public rhetorics. And so Atatürk's great speech is this new model, it's a new discourse that promotes this very new notion of the nation, the national consciousness. Mustafa Kemal Atatürk, founder and the first president of Turkey, delivered this great speech to the Congress of the Republican People's Party, which then constituted the Turkish parliament in 1927. It was delivered over 6 days for an unconventional duration of more than 36 hours in 1927. And the speech presented Atatürk's first-hand account of the Turkish War of Independence, and which lasted between 1919 through 1923, and the transitional period from the Ottoman Empire to the Turkish Republic. So the book, the speech also talks about events that took place until 1927. So if we think about the speech, which lasted 6 days, approximately it was 6 to 7 hours every day. It was a long speech, and so Atatürk literally spoke, for 6 to 7 hours every day to deliver the speech. And he chronicles and justifies his actions of the national struggle, and scripts his vision of Turkish national identity, and he also establishes some of its foundational values, such as the republic and independence. Shortly after the delivery of the great speech, Atatürk's speech was published, and originally it was published in the Turkish language, but it was written in the Arabic script because during the Ottoman Empire, the Arabic script was used and to write the Ottoman language, which was a combination of Turkish, Persian, and Arabic. And the Arabic script was in use. So when Atatürk wrote the speech, it was originally in Turkish language, but written in the Arabic script. So the speech was translated into several languages and sent to diplomatic missions and libraries throughout the world. And since then, the speech has been considered an exemplary text of Turkish political culture and oratory. It is an oration that's composed to extend political agency and engaged citizenship to a people transitioning towards nationhood. So it's a very exciting time. It's a transitional time, and Atatürk is engaged in making sure that this transitional period is successful. Atatürk had a personal interest in the use of language, and as I mentioned, during the Ottoman Empire, the language of the elite, the educated, was the Ottoman language, which was a combination of Turkish, Arabic, and Persian. But the people spoke Turkish, and the difficulty with the Arabic script was that the Turkish sounds, the sounds of the Turkish language, could not be easily written with the Arabic script. The Ottoman language could be written because Ottoman had Persian and Arabic words in it, but the Turkish language was more difficult because of the sounds in Turkish. So Atatürk, he initiated the Turkish language reform in 1928, and he replaced the Arabic script with a Latin-based Turkish alphabet. And this was just after, almost after a year, the great speech was published. So during this time, then, what we see is also a national alphabet emerged in the Turkish context. And Atatürk's goal was to combat illiteracy because many people had difficulty in learning how to write Turkish with the Arabic scripts. So this was also part of Atatürk's mission to move towards nationhood, and he established a national alphabet. So when we look at the great speech, Atatürk grounds knowledge making in his audience and designates them as the critical thinkers engaged in the analysis and examination of the events that he gives an account of. One of his actually famous commentaries regarding the speech is that his ultimate goal for composing the speech is to provide opportunity for critical reflection regarding the Turkish Revolution and its history. And so this statement points to how Atatürk considered his work in the speech a joint effort in bringing voice and empowerment to individuals through community participation and rhetorical action. So his undertaking of rhetorical delivery plays a crucial role in understanding and rethinking rhetoric and language in the Republican national context. The implications that emerge from the delivery of the speech then is that Atatürk's performance of the speech is a rhetorical account of how an individual may actively participate in civic life. So a crucial aspect of this new understanding of rhetoric in the Republican period is that it concerns itself with making language beautiful. That's part of the, understanding. And it conceptualizes beauty within a new paradigm in which beautiful language is defined as being in harmony with the national identity. So there's a natural affinity between the individual language and the national identity. And the idea is that culture and emotions of a nation are preserved in language. So we find all of these elements in language, the culture and the emotions. And so as the protagonist, Atatürk is really careful to envelope his narrative with a powerful rhetorical resource. For example, his continuous use of the first person singular, which has a very commanding tone, and that imparts a new discourse model. And it's a new attitude towards the use of language. And he sets out to use this new discourse model to initiate a social transformation that will yield a collective commitment to civic participation. So he's really interested in visibility and in the ability of the individual to speak and to occupy the public space through speech. And that's where his resilience also plays out. So the application of this new discourse model then characterizes the Republican period in terms of its emphasis on opening up to new literate practices to bring about political action. So that's where Atatürk's interest lies, in the ability to speak and to initiate action. So notions of the beautiful language and national sentiments are combined in the speech towards the reinterpretation of new rhetoric to strictly characterize the Republican period as reformatory and revolutionary. The emphasis on the authorial presence and abilities of the Republican rhetor, however, does not conceive rhetoric as a specialized discipline as in the Western or Greco-Roman tradition. So we don't see a systematic study of rhetoric with defined terms and terminologies. The rhetorical perspectives in the speech align language less with eloquence and more with a formal search for an ontological relation that can be established with the audience. Atatürk's desire for the inclusion of the populace and Anatolian peasantry in the new literary movement of the Republican period is well documented in the speech, where language departs from humility. Humility in the Turkish and Ottoman intellectual and cultural traditions is really defined as one of the fundamental qualities of good character. It is the founding principle, one of the founding principles of Turkish philosophy. It's an important qualification, an important principle to show, to display humility. But Atatürk is, moves away from humility and is leans more towards being more assertive and more commanding. And his tone is really different and like I said, more commanding. But he's also not so much interested in persuasion. Rather, he aspires to tell a story, which he hopes will help future generations interpret and write history. However, he is careful to emphasize that he does not seek to transmit an absolute truth about the Turkish independence struggle. So he's not interested in conveying an absolute truth, but he's interested in telling the story. He declares in the speech that he will consider himself happy if he has been able to tell his story for the future generations. And in fact, this is what he has on his mind for the individual in the new republic to be able to have a voice and to be able to voice their opinions, to be able to have a presence in the public space, in the new national public space. This discursive move acknowledges that his speech can only be on account of a story that will create opportunity for interpretation and critical reflection. This is what he wants his audience to do. He wants his audience to listen, to hear the story, but then also to engage in interpretation and critical reflection. Hence, his discursive intentions are to tell a story, and to establish rhetoric in the Republican era as a means to create intellectual spaces for deliberation, which serves as his ultimate source of contention. According to Atatürk, rhetoric in the new republic, then should function to promote space for rational thinking without the goal of persuading. For Atatürk, rhetoric's aim is to bring individuals closer to their social surroundings and to eventually bring communities together. Hence, in Atatürk's conceptualization of rhetoric, language has a reciprocal dimension whereby it aligns the individual with the larger society and in return promotes intellectual growth. So these are the issues that he's interested in. So, for example, Atatürk invites, in 1924, he invites American educator John Dewey to Turkey to find solutions for the problem of illiteracy, which I mentioned just a few minutes ago, because of the complexities with the Arabic script and the Turkish language. So he's interested in founding an educational system based on critical thinking and doing together, exemplified in community activities, and he's really interested in a communal understanding of learning, doing things together. And this is one of the reasons why he meets with John Dewey. And so he's constantly interested in giving voice to people in the public space and bringing them together for critical thinking and meaning making together. So from a rhetorical framework, the speech is really tries to mobilize a new model of public oratory to transform and expand rhetorical tools necessary in the making of the self and establishing a presence in public culture. So that's one of the ideas, new rhetorical tools. And visual presence is one of the concerns in the making of the Republican identity. And Atatürk foregrounds this in the speech. For 6 days, 7 hours a day, he's quite visible and he's engaged in delivering his speech. So the idea of visibility is very important from him, and the individual's ability to have a voice. So Atatürk's decision to read the speech rather than to merely rely on circulating it in its print form elucidated the Republican rhetorical model, which considered public rhetorics and civic speakership crucial for individual enfranchisement, because he didn't just choose to publish the speech, but he chose to deliver. And so it's again one of the most important aspects of the speech, in my opinion. So the Atatürk's practice of rhetoric in the speech gave way to the evolution of a new rhetorical model in the new nation, in the new national space, that compelled the individual to literally speak. Atatürk's practice of rhetoric in the speech gives center stage to an increasingly visible citizen. And his declarative words and sentences that celebrate the leadership and decision-making capabilities of the individual resonates with the ideals of the new republic. The presentation of this new discourse emphasizes the importance of choice and rhetorical resilience within speech, within voice, and Atatürk composes and delivers his speech as the official narrative of the new Republican citizen. So thank you so much, and now I look forward to your questions, your comments, and especially comments regarding what we can learn from the great speech in the 21st century, what new models we can gather from this text, and what it would mean for the 21st century, especially if we're interested in resilience, rhetorical resilience, and new ways of communicating and new ways of being a citizen in the national public spaces. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Goksel. Yeah, you have given us a very excellent speech. So, and also you have introduced the new concept, rhetorical resilience. Yes, some of us have learned something about the president, very famous. And here we have some questions. My students have raised some questions, and still, I think maybe they want to communicate with you. Okay, so I'll ask the students to speak out their questions. Okay. Okay, now let me say, okay, the questions.
And
Wait a
I should
moment.
mention, Donghong, I've gone ahead
Yes.
and we got 4 questions ahead of
Yes.
time, and I'll put them in the chat.
Okay,
Why don't we
Yes.
do that? We'll start with the 4 questions.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll put them in the
Yes.
chat. And then when we're finished with those questions, there's more
Uh-huh.
opportunity to ask additional questions.
Okay. Yeah, here.
Okay,
Okay.
yes.
Yeah, so in the chat we have some questions.
Yes, we have questions. So I'm seeing 4 questions. Number 1, how do you keep a critical distance when studying Atatürk's great speech, given its strong political authority? As a researcher, how do you avoid being pulled into the power of the text while analyzing it? Thank you, Gu Yutian. That's a great question. Exactly. Given the strong political authority, definitely the speech does have a strong political authority in the Turkish context. And I think this is one of the challenges we all have, perhaps as researchers, to keep that critical distance. I think maybe perhaps one of the abilities we have as rhetoricians is to be able to keep a cultural distance, because we have the tools to analyze texts, engage in rhetorical analysis of texts, and analyze the texts from different perspectives, and perhaps that allows us to keep that distance and to move away from that otherwise strong political authority that may influence us. But I think that's a challenge for all texts, because a lot of all texts have the power to pull us in, and I think that's what we do, perhaps also in the liberal arts, that we engage in critical thinking, and we through practice we learn to keep a critical distance as much as we can. I don't know what the other participants think. I don't know if anyone wants to add a few comments, or should I move to the second question?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So I'm looking at the second question. Tian Yuhan, thank you for the question. How does rhetorical resilience relate to identification? Can rhetorical resilience be understood as a pragmatic act? If so, might it be enacted through particular sub-pragmatic acts? Okay, that's a very interesting question. Can rhetorical resilience be understood as a pragmatic act? Probably, I would think so. When we engage in, when we're, trying to achieve rhetorical resilience, I think we come up with ways to overcome difficulties, or we come up with tactics and ways to overcome difficulties and find ways to, find a solution. So in that respect, I would definitely approach it as a pragmatic act. Can we relate it to identification? Perhaps we could, if we find ways to identify with ideas around us or emotions around us, in whatever context we're in. Perhaps identification might help us in becoming resilient. So in that way, I can create that connection between resilience and identification. Perhaps identification will help us in achieving rhetorical resilience when we find connections that we could identify with. Let's see, I'm looking at the third question from Wu Pengfei. Thank you for your question. What practical strategies can speakers use to remain rhetorically resilient without appearing to weaken their position, especially in emotionally charged or politically sensitive discussions? Again, that's a very great question. Interesting. Let's see, what practical strategies can speakers use to remain rhetorically resilient? I think one of the practical, strategies, maybe it wasn't practical. Atatürk's strategy was to stand up and speak for 6 days in a row for long hours. That was his strategy, to speak, but that was his way of remaining resilient, rhetorically resilient, to tell the story. And perhaps he also did that because he wanted to, tell the story from, his own, his perspective. He wanted to get the message, maybe the story, right. But without weakening their position, I don't know what practical strategies. Sometimes perhaps coming up with too many strategies may weaken our position if we're trying too hard. But in exactly politically sensitive discussions, emotionally charged, sometimes humor is really helpful. There are a lot of studies about humor, and I think humor is a great way to remain rhetorically resilient. And humor, I think, also would not weaken our position, but this is also open to a discussion today. But I would like to think of humor as helping us with becoming resilient, and it's always it could be considered as a practical strategy, a rhetorical strategy, humor, and sometimes perhaps this is also a very rich topic. Silence, maybe sometimes, could be a practical strategy. Maybe sometimes a speaker could choose to remain silent in response to a question, maybe. So some of the strategies we could come up with, especially if it's an emotionally charged context. And we have a fourth question, which is, can we extract unique rhetorical genres from Atatürk's great speech? What methodological insights might this offer for comparative world rhetorics? Yes, unique rhetorical genres from Atatürk's great speech. Maybe we can talk about this all together. I'm curious about the responses that will come from the audience. So yeah, thank you for the questions. Thank you.
Wow. Okay. So thank you, Iklim, and you say the students here. You say you have raised the 4 questions. Okay. Could you say something? Okay. 鹏飞、吴鹏飞 Okay. 田玉涵 and also 魏雨竹. Okay. Do you have anything to say or to interact? Yeah.
Hello,
Hello,
can you
Dr. Goksel.
Hello,
Okay.
hi, hello.
魏雨竹 OK 雨竹魏 PhD student OK
sorry, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Hello, thank you so much for your presentation. My name is Wei Zhu, and I'm a second-year PhD student with Professor Liu Donghong. I really appreciate the way you connected Atatürk's great speech to broader questions about civic participation and the national identity. I Building on the earlier question about identification, I'd like to approach it from a slightly different angle. That is, Berg often emphasizes the tension and ambiguities inherent in identification. Do you see any productive tensions rather than just the cohesion in the great speeches that might contribute to the form of rhetorical resilience you're describing?
Yes, that's a good point. Tensions, ambiguities. I don't really see, but it's just a point to consider. I will make a note of it. I haven't thought about it really, but it's a good point. Something to consider. Thank you for the question. Tensions, yeah. Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Can you hear me, Professor?
Yes, hello.
Hello. Thank you for a wonderful talk. And I'm curious about the new concept, the rhetorical resilience you proposed. So I have one more question. In what way does the speech link beautiful languages with national identity, and how does the connection support Atatürk's broader goals for social transformation and literacy reform?
Right. Yeah. So thank you for the question. The idea, Atatürk notion of beautiful language, and during that Republican period was that in language there was history. There were the sentiments, emotions, history of a nation, of the people. So to connect with that, to use language, the authentic Turkish language that was not in any way under the influence of any other language, any other culture, was the idea of making sure that it truly represented the nation and the national sentiment, the national history, the history of the people. So that made language beautiful in the Republican context. And so that's why the language reform Atatürk initiated was the beginning of that movement to make sure that the Turkish language was easy to write, to speak, that there was a national alphabet that again was unique to the nation, and that the people were able to express themselves, their true selves, through the language that they were comfortable using. And so that was the beautiful language. And in fact, in the later years, he made sure that the Turkish language did not have foreign words in it. And so he was keen on translating mathematical terminologies, for example, scientific terminologies. And he always wanted to make sure that there were Turkish words instead of foreign words in many disciplines. And so that was the idea, to be able to connect with the history, with the culture, with all the notions of Turkishness, of that nationhood. And so, and in fact, we have written about this also in the journal article I mentioned in the Orhon inscriptions. Atatürk was also deeply influenced by the history of the Turks, because the Turks are originally from Central Asia. And so he was really, really interested in that authentic Turkic culture from Central Asia. And so, but in the early Republican period and then onwards, beautiful language was that authentic Turkishness.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for an insightful talk.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. And any questions?
I have a question. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Iklim. And I wanted to return back to Wei Yuju's question about ambiguity and tension. And I have a suggestion that might help you get closer to
Yes.
an answer for us. So my question is, what did Ataturk assume that citizens in the New Republic would do with this oratorical agency beyond acquiring literacy? In other words, did he expect that there would be public occasions for deliberation, for self-determination, for individuals to speak out on their own behalf? And did he expect the same of all citizens, including the Anatolian peasantry? Is it possible for us to know that based on the Great Speech?
Right. Exactly. That was exactly what he was interested in. I mean, he wanted the less educated, maybe the people on the margins of society to be at the center and to engage in the national discourse, to be part of it. So definitely, yes, and that was his ultimate goal, to include everyone, individuals from all spheres of the society, from all, and especially the Anatolian peasantry, which was less educated, and in the beginning of the founding of the republic, with the illiteracy and the difficulties with the Arabic script. So he was trying to, yes, include and then start the conversation, absolutely, because his intention was not to convey an absolute truth. He just wanted his version of the story to be out there, but then let even the newer generations to think about it and to analyze it and to also come up with their own conclusions, their own stories of what the War of Independence was about. What did it mean?
So there are some good tensions there. Then the tension between Arabic script and the need to convey. We need a written alphabet that will accurately and beautifully and stylistically convey Turkish sounds. The sort of the rejection of the idea that deliberative oratory is only reserved for those elite. Thank you. Yeah, thank you for that.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, there's another student, Wang Yanfang. Okay, my student, Yanfang. Okay.
Hello, Dr. Goksel.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Hi.
Thanks for your excellent presentation, and I have learned a lot from it. And I also have a question.
Thank
you. That is, in today's digital communication environments, our people's reception habits toward the lengthy and the rhetorical dense content like that you found in the Great Speech have undergone significant transformation. And I was wondering, how might the rhetorical resilience can be adaptively adopted and maybe reconfigured in today's fragmented or interactive social media formats like short form videos and social media platforms?
Yes. I think that's a great question. And I've been thinking about that a lot too, especially also in the context of artificial intelligence now, for example. Definitely, I don't know. It's just one of the challenges I think we're facing in rhetorical studies, what to do with all of this technology and digital context. Yes, it's very, very challenging, and I think it's one of the new research agendas now. I think that it's an exciting time to think about these new questions because it's really, really challenging and also surprising for me, and I'm not sure what to make of it.
I think this is a question maybe worth further exploring in the future.
Yes, definitely.
Thank you.
Thank you for the question.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Oh, okay, so, Hu Jie, okay, so another student, MA student, first year. Oh, Hu Jie, okay.
Hello, Professor. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Hello.
Hello. Thanks for your great presentation, and I also learned about the rhetorical resilience. And I have a question. That is, how does this narrative strategy, like the great speech, enhance the resistance and adaptive capacity of the foundational discourse against the internal and external challenges, especially in nowadays in the world nowadays? How can how does this a strategy or rhetorical resilience in this great speech help us in nowadays world?
Oh, you mean like in what ways we can apply it to the current context that we're in right now?
Yeah,
Apply rhetorical resilience?
yeah,
Perhaps like in the 21st century, you mean?
yeah, yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's one of the things that I've been thinking about. How do we, how in what ways can we think about rhetorical resilience, given the current circumstances in the 21st century? In what ways can it help us? Definitely, I've been thinking about that a lot. What do you think? Because it's one of the questions that I also been, I had it on my mind. Do you have any ideas?
I think the rhetorical the rhetorical resilience can maybe involve the citizenship and involve the audience to be more to think critically and think more about the countries. Maybe nowadays we can turn to the like social medias or some official medias to raise the audience awareness and involve them with the new ways like with the help of technologies.
Right. Because true, because now we have new challenges, and so definitely. But yeah, thank you for the question.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. So here, any other question? Okay. Yes, my students, they are very interested in your speech,
I
Iklim. Yeah.
I'm happy about that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, here, okay, maybe we can communicate, you say, or we spend some time to wait, or shall we ask Dr. Graben to conclude this conference, this webinar?
If anybody has any comments,
Mhm.
other questions, I'm happy to hear them. So yeah. Mhm. So I leave it to you. Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So you say your lecture is so impressive, and we have expected for a long time, okay, to know the concept of rhetorical resilience. It's quite new for us, and also the great speech. And we have, you say, searched on internet, and we have learned the president. Okay, so great. Okay, yeah. Okay. Uh, yes, thank you so much, Dr.
Thank you. Thank you
Dr.
for having
Goksel.
me. Thank you for having me.
And okay, so I'd like to ask Dr. Graben, our chair of
Sure.
GNROWL. Okay, yeah. So our standing group chair, Dr. Graben, to conclude this webinar. Okay.
Thank you, Dr. Liu, for hosting. Thank you, Dr. Goksel, for presenting. I'm fascinated by this topic. I was fascinated by the paper when I first heard it at Isher, and I very much appreciate your willingness to remediate it for this group. I appreciate the
absolutely.
students who've attended and you've asked wonderful questions. And I want to encourage everyone here to please check out our social media sites. I've included a link to our link tree in the Zoom chat that has links to all of our social media pages and also the address to our website. I think that you're very lucky to have the professor that you have. And we hope to host a spring webinar. So please watch for announcements about the spring webinar sometime in 2026.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yes,
Thank you
yes.
so much,
Thank you.
everyone. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Have a good day, everyone.
Thank you.